Good afternoon and welcome to the Town of Riverhead Planning Board. Today is Thursday, May 18th, 2023. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Today we do not have any public hearings, so we're going to move on to our discussion items, and the first one is Merritt's Creek Townhouses with Heather Trojanowski. Hi, Heather.
For the record, Heather Trojanowski, site plan reviewer, and we do have Jeff Zahn here representing the application. He is the design professional on the project. Do you want to come up, Jeff? If you could just announce yourself for the stenographer.
My name is Jeff Zahn. I'm an architect. Office is at 215 Roanoke Avenue. Sure, Z-A-H-N.
Come on up if you want to just introduce yourself.
Hi, Greg Folk. That's correct.
Okay, so everyone on the board, with the exception of Joanne, is probably already familiar with this application. Karen Gluth had initially worked on it. It was submitted back in 2018. So this is a site plan application proposing to construct 26 three-bedroom townhouses and 6 buildings of 4 or 5 units each, located at 916 East Main Street in Riverhead in the Downtown Center 5 zoning use district, and it's on 3 contiguous parcels that will be merged as part of this application. They are 876 East Main Street, 906 East Main Street, and 912 to 916 East Main Street. Total acreage between the 3 parcels is 3.473 acres, and the tax map numbers are 600-127-6-11, 600-127-6-12, and 600-127-6-13. So 876 East Main is currently developed with a single-family dwelling. The next parcel, 906 East Main, is improved with a single-family dwelling and a detached garage. And then the third and final parcel, 912 to 916 East Main, is improved with 2 single-family dwellings, making it a 2-family property. So just going over some general information, we did receive, the planning department received a 1-page site plan for New York State DEC review and approval dated January 27, 2021, with the last revision date of November 29th, 2021. And that was in response to DEC comments on the original submission. We also received a full set of revised site plans dated December 9th, 2022, and those were received in January of 2023. So those revised plans are what you have now. The initial submission, Karen had quite a few comments in her planning staff report that I had sent to you, I think about a month and a half ago. It was quite long, so just to give you some time to digest it. Jeff Zahn did address quite a few of the issues that she had in her staff report, and I actually provided you the narrative that he sent over with the revised plan, sort of answering the questions that she had and some, inconsistencies, corrections that needed to be made. So as far as SECRA is concerned, the project is a type 1 action pursuant to Town Code 225-11B9. And by resolution 2019-044, dated June 6th of 2019, the planning board did classify this as a type 1 action and authorized the planning department to conduct coordinated review and request comments from all involved agencies. We did receive responses over the next year from PSEG, Suffolk County Planning Commission, New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, the Suffolk County Department of Health Services, New York State DOT. With all of these agencies, there were no objections to the Town of Riverhead Planning Board requesting lead agency. So at this time, even though it's been a while, we should get a resolution probably on for the next meeting to assume lead agency for the purposes of SECRA. When I received the revised plans, I did re-refer them out to the Fire Marshal's office and the Water District. We received some significant comments from both departments, and I included those in my staff report. So the Fire Marshal wants the fire sprinkler system to be installed, fire alarm system, a fire hydrant, fire apparatus turnaround that complies with New York State Fire Code, amongst other things. And those are all items that will need to be addressed prior to any sort of approvals being issued. The big lift with this is going to be with the water district. You know, it's a sizable residential project. It's going to need a hydrant within the complex. They'll probably need to do some sort of improvements to the Main and East Main Street, but we need, the district is requiring a hydraulic analysis, so a map and plan of the projected water demands. And H2M will be responsible for that, but to initiate the work, the applicant does need to pay $7,500 for the map and plan, and that doesn't include any of the costs that will be incurred to, you know, key monies, the installation of any new water pipes.
The project's in the sewer district, correct?
It is in the sewer district, and the applicant is going to need to apply for a sewer availability letter. I don't know what kind of utility plans have been worked on at this point. I know the initial submission, they weren't included. So Jeff, if you,
The utilities weren't, I don't think they were submitted
okay,
originally. They're gonna be worked on because the two rear units gonna need pump stations. So we have engineering getting involved with that.
So again, like sewer and water will be probably the things that need the most work done on this project. I mean, as far as some of the things that Karen wanted to see, there were, you know, parking and lighting. The revised plans addressed a lot of the deficiencies noted in the original February 2020 staff report. So the lighting that's proposed in this new revised plan complies with it's all dark skies compliant. There's no light trespass onto the adjacent properties. Parking wise, for 26 residential units at 1.5 parking stalls per unit, the minimum number required for town code is 39, and the site depicts 58 proposed stalls, so they are parked in excess. And all stalls are 10 by 20 with a 24-foot wide drive aisle, so they comply with the town code as far as parking is concerned. Let's see. I had a whole page on landscaping. I'm not going to get into it. There were just some things, you know, I'd like to see the landscaping in the front bulked up a little bit, especially because I did a site visit and I saw deer in the back. You want to, you know, even though this is going to be developed, the deer are still going to be around. You want to do deer-resistant plantings. You want to make sure that the front of the buildings, especially with the individual walkways and the picket fence, you want the street plantings to
Yes.
sort of have a continued interest as the
Yeah,
seasons go
I
on.
was thinking about that also. I almost think either a berm or a solid fence, because it's only a matter of time before the bicycles, the barbecues, the plastic kid slides, those are the backyards, but really the front yard on Main Street. I just think it's gonna be a concern when it looks like
Right.
somebody's backyard.
I don't know, have you seen the revised,
I saw this one, is that?
the,
Yeah, you have the
C1?
porches facing
I
Main
actually
Street
got-
now, right?
Oh, you have color renderings, okay. Yeah, this will be going back to ARB next
Yeah.
week. So if you wanted to take a look at the color renderings.
That'd be great. Where you have the fence and where the,
fence is
no, in between the building and the fence in the front,
the
is that
sidewalk.
going to be grass area?
Yes.
I mean, I'd like to see it planted, just because, again, it would provide a little more shielding. But, you know, this is in DC-5, and the DC-5 design standards outlined in Chapter 301, 159 of the Town Code, you know, they want the front entrances to be they want it to be a walkable sort of area. The front entrances face the main street, and individual walkways and front porches are promoted. And that's, you know, in the design standards. I know ARB had looked at this back in 2019. They wanted the interior layouts flipped. They liked the individual walkways. I know Roy had forwarded a memo over to the planning board, I think in 2020, January 6, 2020. The ARB sent a pretty detailed memo to the planning board members on what they wanted to see, but I know I looked back at the minutes from one of the planning board meetings in early 2020, and Ed, you had mentioned a berm, and there was a concern for sort of, you know, personal items accumulating in those front yards.
I did read that verbatim, what you said at the last meeting, you said today.
And I agree with you, Ed, with the original design with the continuous porch, that it could have been a collection of bicycles and household items. But that's why we kind of went and redesigned this, to eliminate that, get rid of that almost
But the-
shopping center.
The rendering is
So-
very impressive, you did a great job.
Thank
I'm
you.
just worried about the people, because we know how people are. And I'd hate to see it loaded up
I
with
just, and,
bicycles,
you know,
slides.
if we're
and-
doing this balancing thing, you know, I'd rather have something that looks street-friendly than putting a berm and landscaping where you don't even see the buildings. And I just think that, you know, what Riverhead's trying to strive for is a walkability, you know, town.
Yeah, it's a strange juxtaposition because townhouses, you have to have a front and rear entrance. And obviously the parking lots are in the back because you don't want the parking lots facing the street. Nobody wants to see cars. So you want that nice facade from the street, but at the same time, people are gonna be entering from the parking lot and really that front door is their back door. So, you know, again, it's just a sort of a strange conflict in the code and, you know, the definition of a townhouse and how the site needs to be laid out for functionality purposes. I mean, they can't really go back any further because this is within
Yeah.
DEC and Town of Riverhead wetland jurisdiction. They did quite a bit of work with the DEC, and the DEC is actually poised to issue a freshwater wetlands permit, but that's gonna be contingent upon determination of significance by the planning board. And then they'll go back to CAC after DEC issues their permits.
I think you did a good job redesigning it with a view from the street. It's good, really looks good.
Thank you.
I just see a swing set, you know, back there. I mean, you really have to think about what is going to possibly happen
Right.
in these backyards.
Well, I think we could cover that with CNRs possibly, right? And, you know, and really enforce that. I don't think you'd have an objection to that, right?
Yeah, and I guess the other question would be, will they be owner occupied or rentals? Because I think that has a lot to do with, you know, whether or not people take care of the properties and, you know, again, the care that when you own something, I feel like you care a little bit more about
correct.
making the outside look nice. So that's a question that I had for Mr. Folk, you know, will these be owner, like, are you looking to do a condo map and sell them individually, or were these gonna be rentals?
I'm still pondering what's the right way to go. I don't really know how we're gonna afford to pay for it. So,
Well, if we are gonna go this way, and it's beautiful layout, I think we should include CNRs, because we know what will happen.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things that would get hashed out. Again, this hasn't even gone to public hearing yet. So realistically, at the next available planning board meeting, if the board's amenable, I'd like to have a resolution on to assume lead agency and issue a negative declaration. I mean, again, the DEC is ready to issue their permit. A lot of those issues were worked out. They found the plans to be acceptable. I know you still have to go back to DOT with revised plans. But other than that, I think, you know, they did quite a bit of work revising the plans. I know it took some time, but with COVID and everything,
Are you gonna dedicate the road to the town, or is it gonna be private property?
you know, I never discussed that. We haven't talked about that, but it sounds like a pretty good idea.
Well, it has to come up to the time
Right.
Yeah.
requirements, criteria.
This
Yeah.
is not a subdivision.
yeah,
if
it's
the-
not.
So, I mean, this is not a subdivision, it's a site plan, so this would not, the interior roadways would never be dedicated to the town.
Okay.
This would be a privately maintained.
Okay.
Is this attic space up top?
Well,
There won't be because it's gonna be trusses,
Yeah, and they're all on slabs?
all on slabs.
Okay.
correct.
And the brick on the exterior, is that real brick or vinyl?
It's gonna be, you know, the thin brick, it's, you know,
Real
Veneer?
thin?
the veneer,
it
yes.
is, yes.
Is there enough space there for a berm?
Guess, I can't say there isn't enough space, but I don't know. You know, right now, we're only 15 feet off the property line. So it's, not a whole lot of
Not a lot
space.
of, that's why I asked the question.
Would you show a fence there?
That
Yeah, I
might
see
be
that,
up
I see
to
it,
the
yeah.
top there.
Really have to hop the fence or?
I know I read something in what you sent last month, Heather, about handicap parking.
Oh, from Karen's original staff report?
Yes.
Let me just pull it up. Yeah, so I think, oh, there was a discrepancy between the required number of handicap stalls and what was shown. I think they showed too many. So that was revised, and, you know, they have the appropriate amount of handicap stalls based on the number of parking stalls that they're providing. And the ones that have that shared aisle, you know, the 10 by 20 with an 8-foot wide aisle should be sufficient.
So the demolition part of this is it's ready to go, or is that kind of in no considerations, or what's what?
Well, all the existing structures are going to be demolished, but I believe they're occupied
They're
right
occupied
now.
right now.
Yeah.
Did
All
anybody
right, I
have
think
any
that you were still going on with your report, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's just really an outline. I don't want to read every single thing. I tried not to make it 18 pages, but aside from the cost of, you know, the water, you know, the map and plan, any key monies, sewer district connection fees, Town Code Chapter 301, 304D4, the owner applicant is required to pay park and recreation fees, and it's per unit. So 26 residential units times 3,000, it would be $78,000 in park and rec fees. And that would be prior to the issuance of a CO for the units.
And that's because you're not the.
Yes, there's no park plan being provided. That's something that I don't think Karen touched in her original staff report, so I just wanted to make you guys aware. You know, the town engineer in their original 2019 memo had, I think, 14 comments, and Jeff, in his revised plans, addressed quite a few of them. I think with the exceptions of, you know, they need to get a SWIP because they're disturbing more than an acre, an infiltration test. So aside from like a couple of the things that were on that list, they actually addressed everything that engineering had to say. I went over DEC. Again, once DEC issues their permit, you can go back to the Conservation Advisory Council and continue with them. Obviously, the health department, even though this is within the sewer district, they'll need to approve the new construction. So at this point, we're, you know, it's been sitting for a while, so I think it's time to.
Where's it been? It's been probably more than a year, I would say.
Oh, it's been probably close to 3.
Really?
Yeah, so
Time flies.
we did receive the surveys in response to the DEC comments last year, and I met, Greg and I met with both Jeff and Greg to sort of find the path going forward. And because there were so many things that Karen wanted to see revised and, you know, other issues, other departments and agencies involved, it took a while to get the revisions done because this is such a sizable project.
Can you just be mindful of the microphone? You're right on top of it, sorry. I don't want to get yelled at by the big guy back there.
Sorry about that.
So this will go back to the ARB next week. We'll see what they have to say about the revised elevations. Are there any other sort of glaring concerns that you have? Yeah, so I have a resolution sort of drafted. I'll get it on for the next meeting to assume lead agency and issue a negative declaration pursuant to SECRA. And we could probably schedule a public hearing too, if you guys are amenable to that.
That's fine.
If we could, you know, the units that do face Main Street, make sure the CNRs are clear when we have a public hearing.
Yeah, that'll all be part of, you know, the approval
Yeah.
process, preliminary and final, because there are other things that I'd like to see in the covenants. I mean, maybe the split rail fence that sort of divides the developed parcel from the wetlands jurisdiction, you know, that should, not a conservation easement, but some sort of covenant saying that that fence has to remain there and, you know, nothing can be disturbed.
Maybe some signage.
So I think we're good. We know the path forward, and
Thank you so much.
I'll let you know when that's on.
Thanks, folks.
Good luck.
Yes, the aerial
Your
samples stay
rendering
RDS.
is very professional.
Yes.
We did.
If only we could get a chance to even look at that.
Yeah, exactly.
Heather, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
Thank
guys.
you. Nice day. Okay, let's move on to Verizon Wireless at Tanger with Heather again.
We do. We have someone here from Verizon. If you want to just introduce yourself.
Hi, Gabriella Amato from the Amato Law Group, 666 Old Country Road, Garden City, New York, 11530.
So this is pretty straightforward. This is another cell tower application, looking to modify an existing wireless communications facility, and it's located within an existing building at Tanger Outlet, which is the tower in Tanger 1. And the application consists of the co-location of equipment, and yes, the proposed modifications will be located within a 68.5-foot tall building located at 200 Tanger Mall Drive on a 47.3-acre parcel within the Business F zoning use district, and the tax map is 600-118-3-4. And the existing wireless facility houses antennas and equipment for both Verizon and T-Mobile. I don't believe there are any other carriers at the site at this time. The proposed action is an unlisted action pursuant to SECRA, so coordinated review is optional and not recommended by staff. So staff recommends that the planning board assume lead agency and adopt a negative declaration pursuant to SECRA, as no significant environmental impacts are expected as a result of this application. The plans we received is a 7-page site plan entitled Verizon at Tanger Mall, and it was prepared and stamped by Scott M. Chase, New York State licensed professional engineer. Last revision date of March 15th, 2023. We also received an RF EME report prepared by EBI Consulting and certified by David Kierstead, and a structural analysis and design report prepared by Jemery Vassal of APT Engineering and stamped by Michael S. Trodden, who is a professional engineer. Because this is located within a Tanger-owned building, we did receive an owner's endorsement signed off by Robert Hennessy, who's an officer for Tanger Properties. The proposed work is to remove and replace 8 existing Verizon panel antennas, remove and replace 4 triplexers, remove 4 triplexers within the rooftop concealment area, replace 8 existing RRHs, 8 triplexers, add steel dunnage, add 4 RRHs, remove some small cellular ancillary equipment, and add 2 equipment cabinets. They'll also be upgrading the existing electrical service to 200 amp service, and that's all within the Tanger building. The only exterior work is 2 GPS units that are going to be mounted to the exterior. So very minor work and swap outs being done here. The RF EME analysis that was submitted analyzed the potential RF exposure at the site from the proposed wireless communications equipment and a worst case modeling for all other carriers on the existing tower. And the report stated that the maximum cumulative RF exposures from all existing and proposed antennas will be 14.45% of the FCC's general population limit and will not exceed the maximum permissible exposure levels for the FCC public or occupational standards on the ground. Then the mounting and structural analysis that was submitted assessed the structural adequacy of the existing Verizon wireless mounting assemblies, related connections, and also the existing host structure. And the analysis indicated that the existing antenna mounting assemblies, all related connections, and the host structure are all structurally adequate to incur the imposed design loading. So at this point, because they have all of their, proper stamps and certifications, again, it's just a swap out. They're not doing any major changes to the existing cell tower within the Tanger building. I have a resolution on to issue a negative declaration and also approve the application. And just with the condition prior to the issuance of a CFC, a post-construction analysis of the mounting strut and installation has to be performed by a New York State licensed engineer.
No changes to the generator?
Nothing, there's no generator work on the plan.
There's no generator there?
I don't believe so, doesn't show one.
but not under the scope of this plan. They're not doing any generator work.
You good?
I thought there was there, they're saying no.
I mean, there could be one, maybe it was done by T-Mobile. I'd have to pull the other files, but as far as
Because
what,
we've worked on that tower.
yeah.
More than one time.
As far as Verizon is concerned, under the scope of this application, they're just doing the antenna and equipment swap out.
This generator.
All right. We're all set.
Okay,
Thank you.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's move on to RH Hamptons LLC with Met Charters, please.
Okay. I do have Mr. Cuddy here as well. The board recalls back on April 18th, we distributed a memo about conformance with the Long Island Workforce Housing Act. This is a 5-lot subdivision, so this application does have to conform. The recommendation at our last meeting was payment in lieu of the density incentive bonus. Density incentive gives you 10%, which in this case would be 1 lot. So due to this nature and scope of the project, it's a very small area. Our recommendation was payment in lieu of. Mr. Petty wanted to discuss some alternatives in terms of how that payment was made, so without further ado.
Mr. Cuddy, can
Charles
you just
Petty.
take your file off of this microphone? Thank
You're
you.
good.
If I may stand, maybe I could show it to you better. This is a map. I don't know if you have this map. But these are the 5 lots that we have, 3-face Union, 2-face Maple. My client also owns the 2 lots immediately contiguous, these 2 lots. These lots were created, the one on the east side of Union Avenue, created in 1921. This lot on the Maple Avenue side was created in 1947. They're existing lots. I have with me copies of the deeds that created the lots. And we thought that it would be appropriate, since the lots are immediately contiguous, or contiguous is immediate, that we could put a affordable house, which I think would be preferable at this point, on one of these lots. And that would satisfy the town, and I think that's what you're looking for, is to try and get affordable housing. So it's a very unique situation, because usually you don't have this. These lots that are going towards the railroad tracks to the south are all in the DC 5 district. These lots, the reason they're separate out is because the zoning line is right here, and going this direction is R40. So they're vacant lots. And it would seem to me that it would be appropriate to use one of these lots for affordable housing. It's somewhat of a different situation, but if they had joined in that subdivision, which they couldn't because of the zoning, I'm sure that they would have been used as an affordable house lot.
Just to be clear, Mr. Cuddy, is your client willing to develop the lots for affordable housing, or do you
No,
want to?
yes, he is. That's why we're making the application. Our application is to allow us to use at least one of these lots for affordable housing.
So the only issue I see is when the town adopted Long Island Workforce Housing Act, we did not adopt the section that allows you to provide workforce housing off-site. It says, in the law itself, it gives you several options on what you can do. It's either payment in lieu of, you can reduce your yield by 1, so you're not required to comply, or you, in some cases where it's allowed, you can provide it off-site. But to my knowledge, the town did not adopt that portion of the law. So I don't know if we could accept a lot as payment, but it's,
Well, this is absolutely unique, though. You're not going to find, when you do the lots, you're talking about a lot not on the same parcel. You're talking about a lot some other place in town. Here, it's quite unique in the sense that the lots are right next to it. And actually, in this area, they'd be exactly the same size as the lots in the subdivision. So it really is part and parcel of the same thing. And I recognize what the town did. It's sort of a piecemeal part of the affordable housing unit that the state allows. but I think that everybody would find that affordable house at that site would probably be an acceptable use.
I think it's gonna be up to the Department of Law to figure out if there's a legal mechanism.
Yeah, so that, I mean, that's my concern. It's like, we have to comply with the code because it says, you know, with those options for compliance, it says a municipality must include one of these options. So you can include all of them, you can include one of them, or you, in our case, we included two of them.
Was there a discussion about
I'm
why
not-
they didn't include?
I'm not
the
sure. I
other
can look of,
option?
you
We
know,
should look at the legislative.
the legislative intent when it was adopted. It was only
It does
adopted,
obviously comply with the.
yes, with the act, the general
policy
law,
and
yeah.
the spirit of it, but we had this.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's,
Accept the donation of the law.
I think so.
Under the way-
I wonder if we can accept a lot as payment. I don't know if Dawn wanted to.
Dawn, sorry, if you could just
Sorry.
come on. Come on.
You know,
And your
we-
name,
Oh,
sorry.
yeah, sure, Dawn Thomas, Community Development. We have been talking about this option and potentially having an appraisal or something that might
Correct.
justify that cost. The area is really good because that neighborhood is a lot of rentals, and I think putting home ownership opportunity would be helpful in stabilizing that. So it's really one of our focus areas, and we've been working with Long Island Housing Partnership to see if we could get them to work with us on programming and making sure that they're constructed, and then how they're transmitted, then, you know, transferred to the end user. So I think conceptually it's a great idea if we can get it done legally. That's the
Legally
issue.
is within the four corners of the law.
Yeah.
Are your clients opposed to the donation of the lot if that's?
he would prefer actually to have the affordable house.
Yeah.
He said he thought that would be a better.
Right, but developed by you or developed by the town?
Because, just to keep,
Well-
We could do it developed by the town, maybe,
Yes, and,
as an alternative,
yes,
okay.
yes. Yeah,
So
that's
he's willing to do that too?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So we're gonna have to look into that then.
yeah, we can get you.
Okay.
Okay,
good.
well,
Thank you for
We can-
letting us up here and do that, but hopefully we can get it done that way.
Right.
And I know we've spoken about this before, but your client is intending on selling those
I
individual?
can't tell you that right now.
Okay.
I think he's economically got to see, which is a better
Okay.
way to go.
All right. Of course,
We
we
talked, I
prefer,
know. what
Yes.
we prefer them to go,
Ownership.
and if he
I know
wanted
you're-
to work with us on housing partnership, perhaps,
I think it's a great area.
that
for
would
it.
be something to talk about.
No, he's
They
available,
do
I can get him to
programming
come
and they
talk.
help people get funding, and it would be really go a long way towards our objectives, yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not my client.
I know.
Okay.
all right, well, hopefully we can make that happen, that would be great.
Answer, yes.
I'll give you copies of these, I guess.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cuddy. Now we're going to move on to 740 Main Road Special Permit and Site Plan with Greg Bergman.
Hi, everybody.
Right now.
Yeah, that's fine. We have Martin Finnegan here, as well as Tyler Fox. Martin Finnegan is the attorney representing the applicant. Tyler Fox is the architect of the project. So this is a...
I'm sorry, I had an idea.
Yeah, that's all right. So what we have here, this discussion is going to serve two purposes. One, this is going to serve as a referral from the town board. The town board's currently reviewing a special permit to convert this 1.5-story retail store into a medical office, which is a specially permitted use pursuant to town code. So this will serve as the referral from the town board to elicit the comments from the planning board on the special permit, as well as it will also serve to just outline the site plan application that the planning board will be reviewing. So as I said, this is a special permit to convert an existing 1.5-story retail store to a medical office. The site plan consists of expanding an existing parking area to facilitate the additional required parking from a medical office. They're going to update all the exterior site lighting fixtures, and they're going to update and freshen up the landscaping throughout the site. The project site's located at 740 Main Road in Aquabog. It's presently approved with a 1.5-story wood frame building, as well as a 1-story detached structure in the back of the building. There's an existing parking lot as well as landscaping and lighting throughout the site. This site has housed a number of commercial uses throughout the past, most recently a chocolate store. In the past, it has been an arts and crafts shop, a wine tasting room, and a yoga studio as well. It is an unlisted action pursuant to SECRA, so the coordinated review is optional and not recommended. The town board, at their meeting last night, they did issue a negative declaration for the special permit for this application. Being that we're not doing coordinated review, the planning board will make their separate determination on the site plan, so I do have a secret resolution here to issue a negative declaration. So there's no significant negative impacts. Approval of the application will need to be reviewed by the Suffolk County Department of Health Services for the increase in the sanitary flow. Regarding access and parking, they are proposing to utilize the existing driveway from Main Road. They are going to be expanding the parking lot sort of in the northwest corner of the site. They're providing a total of 20 parking stalls, including one handicap accessible parking stall. One just recommendation is that, being that it's a gravel stone driveway and parking area, that they just provide some type of physical delineation, either railroad ties or parking stops, to just identify specific parking stalls. They're going to update landscaping throughout the site, including around the foundation of the building. I did just note that on a site visit, there are several really large, big, beautiful trees out in front of the property. They are working on getting the property resurveyed, so they're going to show those trees on site. They're going to identify the caliper, and just include a note that those trees are to remain. It'd be a shame to lose those for no reason. All of the lighting is going to be updated to dark sky compliant fixtures. They're basically going to replace all the pole-mounted lighting to convert it to dark sky compliant LED lights. The post lights very much echo the current design of the site lighting, and they are going to update. There's some non-dark sky compliant fixtures on the building. It's just unshielded floodlights, so they're going to update those on the plans as well. I did note that there, as part of a prior site plan approval back in 2011, the planning board did require future cross-access agreements, and they are filed with the county clerk. They required future cross-access to both properties to the east and to the west. Now again, these are just future cross-access. We're not requiring, the planning board wouldn't require them to push through at this time. But really, when you look at the layout of the site and the configuration, cross-access to the property to the east doesn't really seem feasible, because you've got that detached structure in the back, and then it doesn't really make sense to have a driveway across the front of the property. So I would just maintain that the future cross-access to the west should be just shown in the site plan, and that could be easily facilitated by punching through that west side of that driveway access. We did get comments from the Water District. They had comments on the RPZ valve. It's not clear if one is currently serving the property. We got some comments from the town engineer, and I got a letter from the fire marshal's office yesterday. They had no comments on the site plan application. So that really wraps up. I mean, this is a good reuse of an existing property. It'll clean it up. They can clean up all the weeds and the dandelions and really breathe some life back into the site. Town board was very happy with getting the building reoccupied, thought it was a good use. So 2 questions for the board. One, do you have any specific recommendations to transmit back to the town board regarding this application of the special permit?
No, I'm happy to see the reuse of the building, and I think it's great.
Yeah, agreed. And number 2 would be, being that they are going to have a special permit public hearing with the town board. They are going to need to mail out all the notices to properties within 500 feet, which would be the same for the site plan. Being that this site, the building is less than 4,000 square feet, this does fall well within the guidelines of an administrative site plan approval. So would the board be amenable to waiving the requirement for a site plan public hearing? Really, I think it would just duplicate the mailings, and I don't think anything different would really come from a special permit public hearing versus a site plan public hearing.
I don't see the need for a public hearing.
All right, so we do it, the town board they did schedule the public hearing. I believe their special permit will be on June 6th. So once the town board acts on a special permit, we would then be in a position to grant a preliminary, or it could really be an administrative approval for this application.
Just pass along to the town board, no objection from the planning board.
All right.
So, and you're going to keep this shingled, like keep the country look to it?
There's no modifications to the exterior.
Just want to make sure. Okay.
Yep, exactly.
So the second rental in the back, no changes to that at all? Because I can see there's a bathroom in there and there's utilities in there. Was
That is going to be used as office space, and that is included in their parking calculation, so.
Okay. Was my question.
Good?
Thank you. My legal assistant thanks you because she spent all day today on the mailing. There's a lot of people on that 500 meters.
All right, excellent.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank you all
Mr.
very much,
Flanagan.
appreciate it.
Okay, so,
The next application, Purple Beach, was discussion for the major subdivision. I spoke with Misters Israel, both Richard and Ike, this morning. We are going to pull that application from discussion. We're going to hammer up, button up a couple of issues regarding the preliminary approval resolution. So the discussion is going to come off, and then resolution, what is now number 39, is Purple Beach. I'm going to ask that the board just pull that from the agenda. I don't want to table it because the substance of the resolution may change based on the discussions that we have and any resolution that we can go forward. So I would ask that 39 be pulled from the agenda, and now what is resolution number 40 to become resolution number 39.
39.
okay,
You got it.
thank you. All right, do we have any public comments on the resolutions? Seeing that there is no one, let's move on to the resolutions.
I'll move resolution number 35 for the Verizon Wireless at Tanger. So moved.
Second?
Vote please, Nenaro,
Aye.
O'Day,
Yes.
Nacesky.
Aye.
Woski, yes.
Number 2, resolution number 036, Fidon Warehouse. Number 4, resolution granting final site plan approval for the site plan application entitled Fidon Warehouse 4. Proposes to construct one-story, 2,800 square feet warehouse and one-story, 396 square feet storage building.
Second the motion?
Vote please, Nenaro,
Aye.
O'Day,
Yes.
Nacesky.
Aye.
Woski, yes.
I'll move resolution 37, 105 Pier Avenue for a minor subdivision. So moved.
Second the motion?
Vote please, Nenaro,
Aye.
O'Day,
Yes.
Nacesky.
Aye.
Woski, yes.
I'll move resolution number 38, 105 Pure Avenue, minor subdivision, public hearing on, do you have a date on that?
Second.
What is it?
July 6th, okay. So moved.
Vote please.
Aye.
Oh, sorry. Nenaro,
Aye.
O'Day,
Yes.
Nacesky.
Aye.
Woski, yes.
I'll move resolution 39, 740 Main Road, special permit and site plan, issue a negative declaration of secret. So moved.
Second the motion?
Vote please, Nenaro,
Aye.
O'Day,
Yes.
Nacesky.
Yes.
Woski, yes. All right, would anyone like to come up and comment on all matters? Okay. Seeing that there's no one,
I'll move the minutes of April 20, 2023. So moved.
Second the motion?
all in favor?
Aye.
Other business? Correspondences? Our next meeting date is Thursday, June 1st, 2023, at 6 PM. Just so you are aware, BFJ will be attending for discussion, information with the planning board after, I believe, we have a public hearing scheduled for that day. So, I'm sorry? For Kent, okay, perfect. All right, thank you all for coming.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Vote, please.
Aye.
All in
Aye.
favor? Aye.